I'm Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Forgay. I'm a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist. I'm currently in the U.S. Army Reserve, stationed in my reserve unit anyway is at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia. I attended undergrad at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, had a degree in electrical engineering management, and then I served in aviation for a few years, was a helicopter pilot in the Army. Went in, got out and took the HPSB scholarship and went to Emory University School of Medicine for my medical degree. Well, you know, I had a lot of prior service, first of all, and that was probably one of the biggest factors that had me join the Army. But, you know, to be honest, another pivotal factor was the fact that medical school is extremely expensive, especially Emory at the time. And, you know, the Army would pay for everything, and they also gave me a stipend during med school. So those are probably the pivotal factors. Frankly, I don't remember how I first heard about it. I don't know if I was on active duty or it was when I was doing my pre-med courses. I had to go back and do a few courses because I didn't have them in my undergraduate training. The recruiter that I worked with was very honest and upfront and told me all about the program. And you know, I had prior military experience, so it really wasn't a hard decision for me to take the HPSB scholarship. I'll put it to you that way. It sounded great because I was staring, you know, down probably at the time $150,000, $200,000 in debt for med school. Super hard to pay back. So yeah, it sounded great at the time. I did attend the school of my choice. Emory was my first choice. That's a super important point. It alleviated pretty much all the pressures. You know, you knew you had a job when you graduated. You knew that you were going to graduate with very little debt. You know, you might have to take out a small loan or something on top of the stipend, but nothing major. You also knew that you were going to get probably the residency of your choice, which I did. And I also knew the training was going to be excellent, so it was all a win-win. We're not worried about the money that we're making. We're not worried about insurance companies. We're worried about doing what's right for the soldier and his or her family member, and also retirees in many cases. So it's a huge honor to be part of a team that does that. You know, we take it all very seriously. It's just, I can't say enough about that. With the Army, boy, we do a lot of cool stuff. We're in the field right now. We're on a training exercise for about 2 weeks. I'm an observer, controller, or coach trainer. You don't do stuff like that in the civilian world. In residency, you know, we have the opportunity to go on humanitarian missions. You can do deployments as an active duty officer. They're just, really, it's unlimited. You can make the Army what you want it to be, your experience as much or as little, you know, as you want it to be, but hopefully as much. The biggest difference is that you don't have to deal with insurance. You know, when I left the Army, left active duty, you know, I went into private practice, and that's a different world. I'm still well, I'm not in private practice anymore. Now I work for the VA in Augusta, Georgia as an anesthesiologist. But being in private practice and being in the Army is night and day, primarily due to the fact that you don't really have any financial concerns when it comes to dealing with insurance company, when it comes to dealing with prior authorizations, and all those things have gotten much harder in the civilian world, and those just concerns are not there in the Army. You really just focus on the patient and what's right for them. Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, we learn things in the Army, leadership, teamwork, that you simply may not get in a civilian program. I think that, you know, we've got a lot of officers or a lot of physicians in Augusta who came from the military, and I think you can really see the difference in terms of the way they practice and their commitment to their patients. I really do believe that. Probably the most memorable was when I was at Emory. Between my first and second years of med school, we went to a several-week, I guess you'd call it, officer basic course. And that was a lot of fun. I'd already been through it, so I didn't have to go through it again, but I was kind of a mentor for the other student physicians that were there, and that was just a great experience. A lot of team building, a lot of camaraderie. That was really wonderful. So as a physician, I've only been at 2. I was at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, and then I was at Dwight David Eisenhower Army Medical Center at Fort Gordon, which I think, I got to correct myself, I think it's now Fort Eisenhower. I really enjoyed my time at both, absolutely. The time at Eisenhower Army Medical Center was probably a little more memorable because it was a bigger medical center. We did bigger cases, bigger practice. It was just more enjoyable overall, but they were both great. Probably leadership is the most challenging. You know, I was chief of anesthesia at both locations, so it's always a challenge to lead people and to build your skills and communication skills in leading people. So without a doubt, I think that's something you may get in the Army and may not get really in private practice in the civilian sector. Well, look around, you know, look at the world. I actually had a break in service and just came back in the reserves about a year ago. It's just so important what we do. You know, the world there are a lot of threats to democracy out there, and not just our democracy, but our friends and neighbors in this world. So I think it's important to serve and to do what we can. What would that be? That would be to relax. You're going to do fine in med school. You know, study hard, but also don't work yourself to death. And really think about what you want to do in terms of your residency. Don't just jump into the first thing. Take a big look at everything and really decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. And then if you get into your residency and it doesn't fit for you, make a change. Don't be too scared to make some changes down the line. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Forgay, and this is my Army story.